I was there from October of 64 to October of 66. I wasn't in LSD, Monticello 35. All ship's mail came through me. When we were arriving at a port, I was next to the captain, and whatever information he wanted that he didn't want to forget, I would write it down. And then when we had fire drills in the ship, I was a messenger. I was the relay person to go between where the fire was and the captain.
My name came up to be drafted into the Army, and I wasn't there. And two guys came to the house, threw up the badge, handcuff. I said, you don't need the handcuff. They took me downtown. Next day, raise your right hand. Okay, you're in the Army now. I wasn't dodging the draft or anything. I just was naive. I didn't know to report to the other stations in wherever city I went in. I was on orders to go to Vietnam, right? But they took the people with the MOS for the missile, and they took a lot of us off. You start off as a private, but then when you get up so high, you're not down with the missile, you're in administration then.
Joined the Army, volunteer. I got orders to go to Würzburg, Germany. So they put me on DSMA as the clerk. I would repair field radios. Like I said, I stayed there for 36 months. Brothers and sisters, they went to the Vietnam War, and I felt kind of left out. When you're young, you gotta follow orders.
When I was stationed in France, we took over from the National Guard, and the reason that they were sent there was to rattle the American sword at Khrushchev because he was building the Berlin Wall. When they got relieved, the regular Air Force people came in to replace them, so we got the National Guard hand-me-downs handed up to the regular Air Force. They were very old airplanes. The pilots had to learn how to shoot them, and so we would transfer on a temporary basis to Tuiles Air Base, place for gunnery practice over the Libyan desert.
Mr. Clark, welcome to the Yellow Jackets, sir. My lords, my ladies, make way for the Rio Grande honor flight with veterans, Korea and Vietnam. God bless our veterans.
I didn't want the draft, so I says, no, Air Force is ready to go. And that's when SAC stamped me as a G model B-52 man. And so for 5 years, I sat there at Travis. 65, I got assignment to Okinawa. So when they did an ARC-like, which was a big bombing campaign against Vietnam, we would sit out there for 4 hours and launch 75 tankers. Took care of beacons and radar systems. Made numerous trips over to Thailand, came back to the States, signed up for satellite control at Offutt. That's when I went into the dark world for 40 years. All our satellites provided weather data around the world, primarily for Vietnam.
My first tour in Vietnam was in January 1969 up to December. I re-enlisted for another tour. That's basically when everything changed. I was stationed 528 Quartermaster Battalion Supplies. I was also put to guard duty. This kid coming through the fence real fast. Jeeps started coming to my post right away. They got into my case because I didn't kill the little boy. It seems like my life went from having a career to nothing in a few seconds. They busted me from E4, E1. Like actually coming home, disgrace from the military and all that. I complained to the government that I shouldn't have been treated the way I was treated. Cleared my name on my discharge instead of under honorable conditions to honorable conditions.
I was 17. I was a boiler tech. From there, I went to a helicopter squadron, and I ran the line division. We were at sea on the USS Alwyn playing games with a Russian submarine. The helicopter had a sonobuoy launcher in there. It gets launched into the ocean and it drops a microphone, and it can listen for submarines, where the ship's own sonar thought the submarine was, and they would fire sonobuoys and they would listen. And
And I don't even believe this to this day. I was airborne trained, but I got assigned to the 8th Army Psychological Warfare, and I couldn't even spell it. So I wound up with the 1st L&L Loudspeaker and Leaflet Company. I was put on a loudspeaker team, and later on I had a couple loudspeaker teams broadcast to the North Koreans or Chinese, whoever happened to be there. So I was all over and it was always in North Korea. And I also had a wire recorder, little propaganda, you know, come over to us, we'll treat you nice and whatnot. And the loudspeakers do mortar fire and things. Was I safe? No, not necessarily. They caught me out in the open one time, and I was going up to my position. We had a Jeep, of course. We had heavy equipment. I took a wrong road, and I had a Korean interpreter with me. I tell you what, you drive it, and I'll go back to where we were supposed to turn to the right. And the Jeep got back just about to where I was, and that's when a mortar round dropped around. I was lucky. I just got wounded. He lost his head. Poor guy. I was there about 13, maybe 14 months or so. The captain says, I got a job for you if you want to extend. And they had some problems with professional guerrillas up in the hills. They said, we want somebody from the Saiwar outfit to go down there with the loudspeaker team. We'll do the broadcast. Some people actually come down out of the hills for a while, but they took and stood them up in the town square and executed them. So that wasn't very good. About the end of my tour in Vietnam, they sent down and said, we want some junior officers and senior NCOs to try out for a speaking tour. Got a speaking tour. All kinds of different civic organizations, high schools, any place that'll listen to you. Once in a while a radio or television spot, and I'd go tell them what I did in Vietnam.
I got in the reserves. Then when I graduated from Texas Western College, I got my commission, USS Enterprise. And then I've been on the USS Pascagoula. That's a heavy cruiser. I was mainly patrolling, so it was an F-86 jet, but I was only in Vietnam 6 months. I remember we were going up to lay the wreath, and he got real tired and kind of slowed up. I said, you all right, Ross? And then he said to me, who's older, you or me? Didn't want to hurt his feelings, and I said, don't put me on the spot. and he started laughing. He says, I'm 91, and I said, I'm 90. Very mixed emotions for me. And I don't know how they picked me, go with him, but it was an honor. So that award that he got, it was very touching for me because I lost some of my friends there too, in Korea. Paul, my guardian, I remember the last thing we had to bring our luggage down, and I got halfway down, and Paul was coming up in the elevator. He says, you're not supposed to be carrying your luggage. So he says, let's go back up to the room. You put it down, I'll get it. And hey, crazy Paul. I've never in my life been so impressed with your love for the job that you do for the veterans, because let me tell you, the veterans got screwed in Korea as well as Vietnam. It was so gut-wrenching for me, and I want to cry right now, to be part of the group. My self-esteem is coming back now. Say I'm still up at cloud 9. I've got beautiful pictures and beautiful memories. And even though I got lost coming out here to see you,
I was 19 when they sent me off, a kid from a desert town. Mama cried at the station gate, and Daddy smiled through a worried frown. He said, make us proud and do your best, then come back home somehow. Nobody spoke of the midnight work or the faces I still see now.
I was a microwave radio repairman. What I did was where the commanding general would pick up his phone, could call anywhere in the world he wanted to call. I was in Pleiku, which is right off of the Ho Chi Minh Trail. So there was a lot of activity in that area. The North Vietnamese didn't bother us that much because, let's face it, they used our communications. We had one South Vietnamese soldier. Every time that soldier left at nighttime, I guarantee you we'd get hit. I remember when we were all in the airplane, when the wheels go up, everybody in the airplane just started applauding, that we had touched off of Vietnam. I'll never forget that.
And they stopped all occupational deferments for 1 month, and I got drafted. And I went to Long Binh, which is probably one of the safest areas in Vietnam at the time, and personnel was an air-conditioned office. The first 6 months in Vietnam, we worked basically 24/7. The second 6 months, we were allowed to go in every 2 weeks we worked in an orphanage in Saigon. I had gone to a MASH unit, and so I saw the helicopters coming in. I saw some of the wounded. It gives you a different perspective.
I joined the military after I got my draft notice and became what they call the grave registrations memorial activities. They took us to Tan Son Nhut Air Force Base. They took us into the freezer where they held all the bodies in body bags and says, this is where you will get your work from. You bring them into the identification area and you put them on a rack and you start your anatomy charts saying where they had their wounds, and then you would tag them on the toe and write them into the logbook. Then they took us into the embalming room, and civilians were the embalmers. After the embalmers got done, they took them over to the processing area where we would spray them with some kind of a powder, wrap them in sheets, and then put them in a transfer case to be shipped back to the States. The worst that I saw, of course, were victims who died in helicopter crashes. I mean, you couldn't tell what they were or who they were. The other, say, ugly part or dreaded part was people that drowned or were left out in the rice paddies, that when you open the body bag, nothing but maggots would come out of that place. I couldn't believe what I was seeing, but it happened. And there were only parts of a body. Well, how are the embalmers going to embalm this? But they did. I had a friend here in El Paso tell me that this friend of ours died in Vietnam and he was in pieces and everything. And I told him, how do you know? He said, oh, they told us. They wouldn't even open the caskets. I worked with him over there, and he only had a bullet wound in him. He was not in pieces, but I didn't tell him that. When Tet Offensive began, we would only go to what they call the barrack and sleep for a couple of hours, get up and work on more bodies. And this was a 24-hour operation, 7 days a week. No rest for those 3 weeks. It was terrible.
He was only 21 years old, so far away from all he'd known. He died holding a wounded man, refusing to leave him there alone. Dog tags rested on his chest, his jacket torn and stained with clay. The silence said what words could not. Another young life torn away.
Went down to Selma, Alabama, and we were hauling some troops around there when they were having those Martin Luther King riots there. Horrible, horrible. I hated it. People throwing stuff at you and stuff like that. They were protesting and throwing bottles at people and everything. At the time, I didn't believe people would do that to anyone, you know, but it sure did happen there, yeah. Of course, we didn't get much sleep at the time, you know. We was always on alert. The outfit I was in, that 58 Transportation, was a strike outfit, supposed to be ready to go anywhere in the world. And we would pick up the troops and take them out to different places of the city to line up the streets. Yeah, there were several people hurt on that deal, throwing rocks. They dropped cross ties off of the underpasses where you go into the underpasses. Oh yeah, they were canvas tops, and those cross ties would go right through into the bed. Oh yeah. And of course, we had troops back there in the back, you know. There was a lot of protesters. I believe there was a lot of people that were not from there. Most of the colored people they treated us halfway decent. But there was people in there that, I don't know if they were agitators or what you would call them, but they were there trying to stir up trouble is what they were trying to do, yeah, yeah. Even though I didn't go to Vietnam, I did lose a lot of friends over there. Plus, I lost my brother over there. At the time, I was wondering why he went to Vietnam and I didn't. To me, it wasn't him that come back, but he was drinking a lot when he come back. I asked him, Gabe, I said, what's going on? I'm thinking that I'm going to re-enlist to go back, volunteer to go back to Vietnam. I said, Gabe, you don't want to do that. I said, hey, you made it back. I said, you were wounded once. We couldn't talk him out of it. We had one man that called the family that said that he was there with Gabe. What happened to him, he says, you can't describe it.
I came from Mexico, and I was walking by downtown El Paso, and I saw a sign right there that say, Uncle Sam wants you. I'm going to be a soldier. I'm not going to be working in the fields anymore. But I still was missing a lot of the language. So I ended up in basic training. I had a lot of trouble. And I assigned him to be with me. So whatever I couldn't understand, he would tell me. He was my best friend. He was my mentor. He was my salvation. He made it possible for me to make it through. We ended up in Vietnam. But within a week, he was killed. We were doing guard duty, and we were in the foxhole. He kept on telling me, my legs, I have to get up. And I kept on telling him, no, please don't, because we could hear there were snipers. But I guess the pain of his legs was getting to him, and he was telling me how good he was feeling. The next thing I knew, he fell almost on top of me. I thought he was playing. I felt around his neck, and I saw my hand with a lot of blood. Now I knew he was not playing. And I kept on calling his name, calling him not to leave me. I cried at night. It was raining. Helicopters could not come. The snipers kept on firing from the tree line. So I had to spend hours with him. Sun started coming up, and our thinking was we're gonna run and find this sniper, and we're gonna kill him. but there was nobody there.
I was drafted, taken to Cu Chi. Every infantry unit would have a grave registration unit with them. Everything left grave registration as believed to be. Even if we had eyewitnesses that were guised in their unit, the dog tags, unless they were on you, we couldn't accept that as positive ID either. All the people that came and see who this was, they would sign an affidavit saying that I know this person, blah, blah, blah. 25th's other base camp forward was Dao Tiang, and that's where I spent most of the time in recovery stuff. 7 miles from the Cambodian border, right smack in the Michelin rubber plantation. Pillared mansions in the middle of nowhere. A 2-story above ground swimming pool, very dangerous. We actually had to quit having formations because they would start walking mortars in on us. I did that for a year. So when I did decide to extend, I also put a transfer in and go directly to the mortuary. It was in Saigon. A lot of my time was spent on the unknowns we had, trying to get them identified. They left there either viewable or non-viewable. The helicopter down. If there was a fire afterward, there was arms and legs were gone, so we couldn't do fingerprints. And sometimes because of the structural damage, that we would actually cut into the knee and here and measure the femur to get an estimated height. That part was really awful. The commanding officer there called me into his office and sat me down and said, I would like you to extend your tour of duty again. Yeah, sure. I don't think it was until that last 6 months that I started feeling the emotional part catching up with me. And, it was an awful job, but it was the most honorable job you could have. Recovering those guys and getting them home. The part that bothered me the most, and it, at least in my mind, this is somebody's son, husband, brother, sister, and they left non-viewable. They had an escort to the funeral home, and they were required to stay there until they were released. I mean, those guys caught some real hell. I'm Dad, I want to see him. Well, I'm sorry, sir, he's non-viewable. I want to see my son. I want to know that's him. And they wouldn't know it was that bad. They wouldn't have a clue. Well, that's not him. But just the emotional part of that. Let me just say this too. I know that I probably think about death a whole lot differently than most people. I hope that most people never see what I had to see. But I do think I saw too much. So I just avoided everything. And like I told you, I didn't go to the VA till 2019. I have no idea how many remains I worked on, but thousands. I just know I was in the certain area for the certain time. I sent a lot of those guys back. We're lucky we made it, guys. We're blessed that we made it. And never forget the others. Never.
I never walked the jungle trails, never charged into the fight. I worked beneath the floodlights glow on endless mournful nights. I pinned the tag that bore his name, washed the blood stains from his skin, trying not to see his face as the zipper closed him in.
I came in at Da Nang first, and then we were loading Agent Orange onto the 123s, and the helicopters also. They had helicopters that they stuck the booms out and sprayers gone, and they'd fly real low, and we'd come back in 4 days, and it was just white as a ghost. It was just devastating. Well, they bring the tanks back in from their fighting, and the tanks had bodies on the fenders that had died, in recovering, bringing everybody back home. And it really was devastating to have to pick up the bodies, put the bodies into the body bags, put them into refrigerated semi-trailers. If their arms had been blown off, literally, we would have to tuck the arm into the leg of the soldier. That was hard to cope with. The PTSD was catastrophic. I just didn't want to talk about it. My dad was a POW. He was on the Bataan Death March. When he came home, he off limits. He didn't. I said, I can identify with that because I don't want to talk about it either. And that was it. I coped with it for about 40 years, and finally it just got to me. I've been in the VA just for 2 years, over 2 years. E11 and line 54, and there he was. Didn't come back one day on a mission. And that was, put my head in the pillow and screamed. I said, this isn't fair, you get to go home before I do. But it...
Did it help, you think, to do the rubbing?
Oh yeah, yeah, that was, I'm gonna take that and show it to Dr. Carrillo Monday, to say, this is it. This is my closure.
Our family was into transportation, but I was told if I was ever caught driving a semi, I'd be disowned. I took it to heart, ran away and joined the Navy, and I became a boiler tender. My first ship was the USS Constellation. We'd go to the Gulf of Tonkin, launch aircraft all day, all night, and we were usually on watch down in a hole 10, 12 hours a day. I re-enlisted. I got an assignment as a race relations advisor because during this time they were having race riots and things on ships. That's what really kind of helped me get out of the Navy at that time, because I told them that their program was crap and it wasn't making any changes or doing any difference. Vietnam Wall. One of the names on the wall was a kid that I grew up with. Been in Vietnam only a month and he got killed in an ambush. We played Little League Baseball all the way up to high school. He was a pitcher. I caught most of his games as a catcher in baseball.
I was put in the Echo Company, and that had the mortars and the radar and recon. But going out in the jungle, that's different. That's scary, especially at night. The Army started introducing snipers, so I volunteered for that. And I still don't know why I did that, because it was already dangerous what I was doing. And things went wrong in a lot of sniper missions. Some of them were like suicide, going into the jungle with a sniper rifle. So you can't see more than 30 feet. You know, I needed a shotgun or fully automatic. They assigned a captain to be in charge of a group of about 20 of us. The mission would consist of 2 snipers, and they'd assign a radio person. At first, they would volunteer, but when they found out what it was all about, nobody wanted to volunteer anymore, so we would get new guys. I almost died, but not because of the enemy, because of friendly fire mistaking me for the enemy. So that's where most of my anger, you know, because war is just confusion and chaos, and not everybody knows what's going on. It was just too many things that went wrong that I couldn't explain, and I couldn't blame anybody, and I don't know, I was just angry at the world. And I went to Washington, D.C. 20 years ago. I didn't feel anything. I still had too much anger in me, and I didn't know how to honor them. But honor flight, you know, changed all of that. This time, a close friend that didn't come back, and I got to spend time with him. And I felt good.
His name is written on a wall for all the world to see. But in nights of quiet darkness, his face is all I see.
Couldn't get a job, joined the military. Then I liked it. Then the patriotic stuff kicked in right then. Because I'm not an American, I'm German. So in '77, I got naturalized and became a US citizen. Within 3 months, they sent me to Germany. I was in Germany for 2 weeks and I got my draft notice from the German army, because it's mandatory to serve in the army in Germany, right? Somebody handled it, and I never got deployed in Vietnam because, like I said, I was in missiles, the nuclear kind. So they didn't have nuclear rounds in Vietnam, right? They sent me to Korea during that time. During Desert Storm, all those Patriot unit support units, the maintenance guys, they all worked for me. If you read about the war, you know that the beginning of the war, we weren't hitting anything. Army came to me and said, we need to deploy that now. I said, it's not ready. They said, well, deploy it and work on it while it's there. You went from 0 kills to finally, we hit the sweet spot and stuff. And I stayed until 99. So I was in the 11th Brigade Task Force in Dragon Base. And we were in control of all the Nike units in Kuwait at that time. I had some bad experiences with that, of stuff that happened during the war, which my mind still tries to punish me with. I heard about the program with guys in my group, and it described your goals and objectives. That was one of the factors why my doctor and my counselor and I felt that this would be a good program, because I looked at your objectives and what your people are trying to accomplish. For me, you achieved that, and I'd like to congratulate you on that. And I would recommend this program for anybody that I know.
Did 2 tours. I was an electrician and telemetry guy on the USS Canberra. We were providing support to the troops down there. It was a constant barrage from one end to another. Fire, 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 fire. I had headsets like that on the bridge, and you could hear the screams and hollering. And you try to calm the guys down so they can get the coordinates straight. Get the coordinates here. We can't just shoot just blindly because there are troops there. Get the coordinates straight. Get the coordinates straight. You know. That was tough. We could hear the pings on the bullets hitting our ship. Loading machine broke. We had to load it manually. In aboard ship, they're all metal. They got metal outside for the door hatches out there. Well, I ended up in that cubby hole, passing the stuff out there. I was in the echo machine. Boom! I couldn't hear. I could watch the guys coming up there. I couldn't hear. And all of a sudden, developed this bruise here. But I had no way to prove it. They sent me to a psychologist. How come you didn't tell anybody? I was 18. Who the hell is I going to tell? Who the hell am I going to? They were bosses. They tell me, well, you screwed up, Sater. I remember going through the Mekong Delta, and I actually looked at that and said, that water's red. It was coming out red. I freaked out. It was red, blood red. I had enough time thinking about that. It's just so many people dead there. I mean, one end. And they're this small, the names, they're filled up all the way out there. And you notice that it's hidden. Like most of us Vietnam veterans, they're hidden. I think that's the way it is. Honor Flight was an eye-opener. I think it helped me a lot. You know, I'm grateful. I'm not sorry I served now.
When I landed stateside, no bands played, no flags lined up the street, only angry shouts and curses and strangers spitting in my face.
I was one of the fortunate veterans that went to Vietnam. I got there and I was put in the mess hall in Da Nang, and that's where I spent most of my days, because I only did 42 days in Vietnam, except for one day that they sent me out on the perimeter line for one night. The following day I was shipped off to Okinawa. I have a brother-in-law that went through some stuff, and I know there was a lot of other guys that, so I kind of felt that they deserved more than me. This trip was very emotional to me. I talked to other veterans. He said, "You're still a brother. You were there." Even though I was there 42 days, they didn't care, and they accepted me. Whether it was amazing to me. That's what touched me most, was just the attention we got.
I got stationed on Tan Son Nhut Air Base in the 580th Signal Corps, and we were putting up telephone poles and running telephone cable through Saigon. Well, this Sergeant Hansen told me that he wanted the strand, which is metal, run up over the power line. The prints don't show it that way. I said, well, why do you want it that way? He said, so the Vietnamese don't shoot the telephone cable. I said, well, that extra 15 feet isn't going to make any difference to those bullets if they spray it. He says, well, I want it up there. And I said, well, I'll follow you. You show me how to do this. He says, are you not going to do a direct order? I was in front of the first sergeant that next morning. Spec 4 Jensen, I understand you despise doing a direct order. Well, tell me your story. So I told it to him. And he says, you know what? I wouldn't have done it either. And I go, oh, wow. Whew. Thank goodness. How well do you know Saigon? I said, like the back of my hand. Will you be my Jeep driver? He said, but I require two things. He says, I live off base. I want picked up at 7 o'clock sharp, and I want a clean Jeep. I think I can handle that. So every time I passed that Sergeant Hanson, I had a smile from ear to ear.
And I was in the Army Security Agency. I couldn't tell anybody, but it was just intercepting Morse code, typing it out, and then it went to a linguist, and they tried to put it together. But if I didn't type right, it was very hard for them. I was at Tonsonhoot Air Force Base. They extended me. 3 days into the extension, a mortar round came in. One hit in front of my bed. First lieutenant was killed right outside of my Quonset hut. Got a little piece of shrapnel in my eye and some small pieces in my body. I was laying in the trench, and I heard people saying, coming across the runway. And I had nothing but a penknife, and I was thinking, should I pretend like I'm dead or something? What should I do? All of our rifles were locked up, and I'm glad they were, because the people in the Army Security Agency aren't trained with weapons, and I think they'd have shot each other.
When the doors open, we get to the bottom of the steps, and they hand you your M16, the other guy hands you bandoliers, and you're on. I mean, you're ready for war. Flew into LZ Evans, and then we drove our trucks to LZ Sally. Second night, he says, we need 2 volunteers, you and you. Get your ship ready. We're gonna go in on a night mission. He says, where are we going? He says, you're going out there. I says, into the Ashaw? This is real hell. It's flying and it's raining and it's dark and the skies are opened up, flying by instruments. The Rangers have made a landing dock out of trees, 18 feet tall, sticking out of the side of the mountain. We landed one skid on it, they put that guy in there and they disappeared. As I was disappearing into the sky away from them, we saw an explosion. Well, they blew that dock and we're flying down the canyons, and we were sticking our foot out there because we could see the walls of that canyon. Dropped the guy off at the hospital. Assault and recon company, flying recon, but you wind up inserting troops and picking them up. I had a mission a couple months later, and Otto Barnhart comes to me and says, Lucy, I'm gonna fly in your place. He said, I don't wanna stay, I wanna go in your place. You need to stay, I wanna go in your place. Well, we cranked up, filled up with all kinds of infantry guys, and started to head out into the Ashaw when my helicopter developed a problem. If fate would have it, Otto got to fly this mission in my place. They ran into a hornet's nest and they got blown away as they were landing troops. Helicopter exploded and split in two, and there's probably about 8 engineers rappelling out of both sides of the helicopter, 2 at a time. It took us 12 hours to get back to that wreck. Otto never came back. The worst thing about it, he had just gotten a Dear John letter. That was April the 23rd. That's why I couldn't talk in D.C. when you asked me to talk. I was visiting Otto that night. I got the scribes. 17 days later, that was the first day of Hamburger Hill. And that's where I got shot down. And we were able to recover our falling, and then we flew into a mountain, so we went and flew another helicopter and flew another 14 hours after that. I was flying command. We were talking to everybody in the whole country. Command ship means that they're running around in circles. They're way up there in the air, about 10,000 feet, directing all the traffic. 200 or 300 helicopters, talking to artillery, talking to the ground forces, talking to that company over there, that one over there, and that one over here, and that one over there. We're talking to Air Force, we're talking to Navy, it's all concentrated on that ship only. Lamsan 71 is near the DMZ that was leading into Laos for the Ho Chi Minh Trail. Nasty battle, very bad. We had over 600-800 helicopters flying there. Those are the kind of things you sleep with.
Memories buried deep, but they are always there. Some burdens never leave you. hidden wounds that we each wear.
I was a helicopter electrician. The last 3 or 4 months that I was overseas, I went to the different places, Philippines, Korea, Thailand, and cannibalized parts off of helicopters so they could rebuild the planes or the helicopters that were coming in from Vietnam. And then I got hurt and I got sent home to operate, and then I got sent back. The doctor got mad. What are you doing here? And I said, they sent me back. And so he said, do you want out? And I said, yeah. I came home with the prisoners of war, with half the plane on gurneys in the back and the other half sitting over here. So when I got off the plane and come, the cameras are all there and I'm just me, I'm the prisoner of war. In 1997, I needed a total knee replacement. After the surgery, I couldn't move my leg. So they sent me to Albuquerque again, tried to manipulate it, and then they forced it. Well, when I woke up from that, there were 6 doctors standing by me and they said, Mr. Holmes, we're very sorry, but you have a bad problem. You better find a new job. So I established myself as someone who knew the Veterans Affairs situation, and I started helping vets.
I got sent with the 4th Infantry Division in Pleiku, the Central Highlands. I was a M60 gunner, had 5 guys under my command. It's all pure jungle out there. It wasn't not only the enemy, it was just the environment. It was really bad. I'd seen insects I'd never seen in my life. There's tigers out there. If the insects were trying to kill us like the enemy because there was so much stuff out there, it's just awful. And then the monsoons, we didn't see the sun for about 4 months. In some places, they say it got to 120 degrees. I tell people that's as close as to hell you could get being out there. You're in the front line, looking for the enemy. At one time, they put us on a hill, and down there's a Ho Chi Minh Trail. They give coordinates for, bomb them down there, and then they found out we're up there, and then they couldn't get no supplies to us because the enemy started going, and the choppers couldn't get down to get us water or food, so we didn't eat for 5 days or drink water. And then finally, they said, put your gas masks on, and they had some B-52s drop gas and smoke. When they did that, they came down and got us out of there. And I was there 9 months, and I got transferred to the 1st Armored Division. They put me in charge of personnel care. They made me track commander. They had 5 guys in there. And during the daytime, we're on road security. And then at night, we're guarding the bridges. About 3 weeks to complete my ear up there, and a sniper got me. That second round, like I'm saying, it flew right by my ear. If I would have been here, it would hit me in the head, but it seemed like somebody pushed me, and nobody was there to push me. So I give credit to my guardian angel. When I had to leave, it was really hard leaving my men behind. Really, really hard. I didn't have no choice. I didn't have no choice but to leave them. But I came back, my head was really all messed up when I came back. It affected me so much, I couldn't even spell. My mind was kind of screwed up. I moved my family to Silver City. There was no work, so that's how we ended up here in Las Cruces. And then I started working for the post office, totaled a Jeep out. I hit a tree to prevent an accident. My mind really flipped out because I got shot twice in helicopters out there in Vietnam. And I thought it was in a helicopter. And then I had the mail, I seen a body I was holding on to. So they had to call the VA and all that to get me out. It took me to the mental ward, fantasizing that, we're in a building, and I told the guys as they're coming, so go to the back, we're gonna be stuck. When they come, don't shoot right away until they get close. But my VA counselor told me I shouldn't be working in the post office because you're gonna go postal. Something that got in me, and it was like sadness and happiness. Those 58,000, I felt them. I felt like they were going like this, good job, you made it home,
When I touch their names upon the wall, expecting ghosts seen in my dreams, finding friends at peace and home, and they're smiling back at me. Their names are written on that wall for all the world to see. And I found friends at peace and home. Now they're smiling back at me.
And never forget the others. Never.
was cloudy, we were at the tomb, and I said, well, you know, that's the last thing, and that's the thing I was looking forward the most. And it started to rain, and the wheelchairs got all wet. And I said, God, not now. The rain stopped, the skies cleared, and it was like a perfect day. To be selected to participate in the laying of the wreath, that's the greatest honor of my life.
The one that really tore me up was when the kids, when we got to the monument, when they had my name out there. I still lose it. I still lose it.
And Dennis says, Tom, you need to go that way. And I thought, what did I do wrong? Just go that way. When I turned around, and here's my name, she's the first one there. And I thought, wow. And it's got this big card that says, welcome home.
Oh, I thought they were just school kids out there on trip. And then I saw my name. I said, wait a minute, hold on. You know, what's this, you know? Yeah, that was a big surprise.
When I saw the kids out there with the signs, you know, I said, oh, well, they got a few of the signs. And I was totally taken aback when the little girl had my picture and a sign said, welcome home, Hampton. So that was another high point, I guess you would say, for me.
Just so happens that my person with the sign for me, she was the student body president, so she was well-spoken, articulated her points well, really smart young lady. And they were just so thrilled. And, you know, they told me, they said, we wish that we could follow you guys all day and be part of your program and stuff. And it just got me. See you later, I'm gonna go catch up with my group. And they go, no, we're going with you. I said, okay, come on, let's go. And then they were taking me around. Let's go on to the Colorado. Since we're from Corolla, Colorado, let's take pictures on the Colorado side. I said, okay, let's go.
And if you took 1 minute, your head would be spinning to see the things that they know.
A lot of kids don't even know what the Vietnam War was, you know. And then the one that got my picture and did the poster for me, and he was there, and I hugged him and I said, thank you so much, you know, I mean.
I was thinking, okay, the teacher put them up to it. It doesn't mean anything to them. The 2 boys I had were very inquisitive and sincere, and so that had a deep impression on me, that here's kids in junior high that really cared.
Then we get off the bus and start walking by there, and all these kids waving and hollering at you and shaking your hand and giving you the high five. Yeah, that was amazing. I walked by out of the corner of my eye, I see 2 girls, and they're holding up a picture of Jimmy Madrid. I said, wow, what is this, you know? They come back over and started talking to me, and they kept asking me, what are you carrying in that envelope? I said, that's my brother. He said, well, where's he at? I said, he died in Vietnam. And of course, we all started crying. The 3 of us started crying out there. We started to walk off, and they come running up there again, and they asked me, says, Jimmy, can we have a hug?
They're coming home from a whole nother world that we know nothing about. So the least we can give them's a standing ovation. It's time they hear us shout.
And this young lady broke my heart. She had a poster, young lady in middle school. I told her, that poster's going on my door. That will be the last thing I see at night before I go to bed. She's gonna be a doctor. I hope you're a heart doctor, because you just broke my heart.
So stop what you're doing and walk up to him and tell him how much it means that every night you drift off to sleep. They've got it covered, protecting you and me. Stop when you see a uniform. God bless the USA.
He came home from war with pain behind his eyes. No cheers were heard, just cold and bitter lies. No words of thanks, just jeers and shouts of shame. And nothing in his heart was quite the same.
Coming back and being called a child killer. I don't remember ever killing a child. It was terrible. They were very much against the war, but they were taking it on us. For years, you could not wear something that said Vietnam because we were hated. Until finally, now, I say this is day and night. Completely opposite of what it used to be. I was getting ready to change, but I didn't. And so I was sitting there in the airport, and some lady sat next to me. And she goes, "How are you doing?" I said, I'm doing fine. She goes, "I just want to apologize for all these people around here." And then she went on. I'm sorry. Then she just went on and said, "You guys shouldn't be deserved to be treated like that," and that kind of stuff.
We had paper bags that were lit and thrown, and there was feces inside it. Reaction is go up and stamp out the fire. Well, if you got the fire out, what you got? Being called baby killers was probably the biggest thing that I couldn't cope with. How do you forgive the draft dodgers that went to Canada and came back just to sit here and throw a wet towel at you? Politely said urinated towels. It's devastating. All this time, for this last 54 years, it's been war. It's been a fight.
He rarely spoke of things he'd seen and done. One battle ended, but one still lingered on. Deep in his heart, the memories remained. A hidden place still filled with hurt and pain.
You inspired me, especially when it came to those that served with you, that you were all in. There was no deficit in the amount of commitment and dedication in your service than there was in the previous generations that preceded you.
My experience in Vietnam stayed in Vietnam. None of my family members know anything because I've never talked about it. When I came back from Washington, D.C. to El Paso, this other soldier was in the plane with me. We were sitting in the same aisle. There was a gentleman that sat down in the middle. Those times you could get buy a bottle of liquor with a soda. We each had one. When we finished those, I asked the stewardess, "Can I have another one?" And she says, "No, you're only allowed to drink one." The gentleman that was sitting between us, he says, "Ma'am, can I have one for each? And I'll buy it for me." And she said, "Okay." Why did she sell 2 drinks to him and she wouldn't sell 2 drinks to us? But he bought 2 drinks and he gave each of us that drink. When we landed here in El Paso, when the plane taxied in and we ran down the aisle in the plane, back and forth. We made it. We raised our hands. There were a couple claps, maybe 5, 6, no more. But we did experience faces. One person yelled at us, "Sit down." He called us names. And that story I have never told anybody except my roommate, and he encouraged me to talk to you. Worst experiences, you can feel people the faces. Today, that landing at the airport, and you have about a mile of people yelling at you. Ooh. That was some payback. That was awesome.
Then came a day he thought would never come, as grateful voices welcomed everyone. Warm hands reached out and thanked him for his part, and something long forgotten stirred his heart. Then voices rose and years of hurt gave way, as tears of healing washed the pain away. Welcome home.
Even though you didn't get the proper welcome home, and you still were pillars in your communities. Look at you guys. What you guys did in service is parallel to what you guys have done in your lives.
To our veterans, I want to thank you for your courage. I want to thank you for your sacrifice and our service to our country.
When everybody stands up and claps, it's just, I don't know, something I guess that was missing in my life, and now it's, I just feel good. It's a lot of anger was being released, being replaced with pride. I'm still on cloud nine, giving us the welcome home that we should have gotten. That means a lot to everybody. It's something that was missing in our life.
It was cold, so I needed a jacket, so I went to J.C. Penney's, and I was so claustrophobic around people, so I grabbed probably the ugliest coat I could find. Just wanted to get it and get the heck out, because it was just, and the people were walking around like, war, where's that? You know, the last night when they were talking about their experiences, the one individual said, I'm finally able to kind of let go. That was good. I enjoyed that, and that meant a lot. So.
You kind of got frowned upon because you're in a military uniform. And it hurt. It hurt. But this makes it all better. People going through the airport that knew nothing of us were clapping. It made me feel very, very proud.
And then coming back, you know, from our trip here at the parking lot there, seeing everybody with signs and everything, welcome home, your heroes. That took the place of when I got back from Vietnam, nobody was there. But it was, something was really missing inside of me. You know, it was like something hollow in there. Couldn't hold the tears back, and I felt a happiness in my soul and heart, man, just seeing them, seeing everybody, you know, everybody there, and it was beautiful, fantastic. And I said, I could die in peace now, you know.
No, when we weren't at Coming Home song, when we got to at the hill, it hit home to everybody, especially me, because that's exactly what I went through. By the time I got to LA airport, I had snot, cigarette butts, awful. People asked me, did you serve in Vietnam? I would say no. I didn't want them to know. I lied. Everybody said, they would say, anyway, it was just a conflict. I didn't expect anything. I didn't expect that the police escorts, when they did it, they stopped everybody, you know, came us through there like we were somebody. The homecoming we never got. We're hiding. But we're home. We're home. Yeah.
The hidden place where sorrow made its home now sings with welcome home. Then voices rose.
healing wash the pain away. The hidden place where sorrow made its home now sees with welcome home. Now sees you're welcome home.
Built a life, raised kids, grew old. Tried to leave those days behind. He was only one of hundreds, and their faces fill my mind.
Somebody decided that the mess hall tables shouldn't be bolted down. It should have tables like this, table, chairs, tables. Well, they took them all out, folding tables out there, and it was great for a little bit till we went out to sea and everything rolled out, rolled back up there. By the end of the lunchtime, we put everything away. We're eating on the floor.
Memories buried deep, but they are always there. Some burdens never leave you, hidden wounds that we each wear. When I landed stateside, no bands played, no flags lined up the street. I carried grief through all those years. Their faces stayed so clear. But when I touched their names upon the wall, expecting ghosts seen in my dreams,
I immediately thought that there's something wrong with every drill sergeant that was ever in the Army, and when they retire, they should just put them to sleep.
when I touched their names upon the wall.
Do I have to talk all over again?
All over. Sorry.
So I'm changing the story a little bit now since you didn't push the button, because I can't remember everything.
And they're smiling back at me.
Oh, you don't know how many times I said, this can't be for real. And it just kept on going. It kept getting bigger. I kept everything. I kept the tickets even, even the baggage, the tag on the bag, transfer tags.
Now they're smiling back at me.
Welcome home. That was what it's all about, I think. And
I was 19 when they sent me off, a kid from a desert town. Mama cried at the station gate, Daddy smiled through a worried frown. He said, make us proud and do your best, then come back home somehow. But nobody spoke of the midnight work or the faces I still see now. He was only 21 years old, so far away from all he'd known. He died holding a wounded man, refusing to leave him there alone. Dog tags rested on his chest, his jacket torn and stained with clay. The silence said what words could not, another young life torn away. I never walked the jungle trails, never charged into the fight. I work beneath the floodlights glow on endless mournful nights. I pinned the tag that bore his name, washed the blood stains from his skin, trying not to see his face as the zipper closed him in. His name is written on a wall for all the world to see, but in nights of quiet darkness, his face is all I see. When I landed stateside, no bands played, no flags lined up the street, only angry shouts and curses and strangers spitting in my face. So I built a life, raised kids, grew old, tried to leave those days behind. He was only one of hundreds, and their faces fill my mind. I've carried on, or so I thought. No passing year will grant reprieve. Every face returns in darkness. In my dreams they never leave. Memories buried deep, but they are always there. Some burdens never leave you, hidden wounds that we each wear. When I landed stateside, no bands played, no flags lined up the street. I carried grief through all those years. Their faces stayed so clear. But when I touched their names upon the wall, expecting ghosts seen in my dreams, finding them at peace and home, and they're smiling back at me. When I touched their names upon the wall, expecting ghosts seen in my dreams, finding friends at peace and home, and they're smiling back at me. Their names are written on that wall for all the world to see. And I found friends at peace and home, now they're smiling back at me.
He came home from war with pain behind his eyes. No cheers were heard, just cold and bitter lies. No words of thanks, just jeers and shouts of shame. And nothing in his heart was quite the same. He rarely spoke of things he'd seen and done. One battle ended, but one still lingered on. Deep in his heart, the memories remained, a hidden place still filled with hurt and pain. Then came a day he thought would never come, as grateful voices welcomed everyone. reached out and thanked him for his part, and something long forgotten stirred his heart. Then voices rose and years of hurt gave way, as tears of healing washed the pain away. The hidden place where sorrow made its home now sings with welcome home. Then came a day he never thought would come, as grateful voices welcomed everyone. Warm hands reached out and thanked him for his part, and something long forgotten stirred his heart. Rose and years of hurt gave way, as tears of healing washed the pain away. The hidden place where sorrow made its home now sings with welcome home. Then voices rose and years of hurt gave way, tears of healing wash the pain away. The hidden place where sorrow made its home now sings with